The EU still wants the UK to be bound by the European Convention on Human Rights, a concerning report that I'm going to bring you all the latest in this report. But if you could please start off as ever by making sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss future reports. Now, a Bloomberg report, and obviously there's so much going on in terms of the Brexit negotiations at the moment. It's very easy for things to go under the radar. Of course, that's what the Westminster channel's here to highlight, is things that you may have missed or may have not been reported elsewhere. Now, just to give you a bit of background, this is from a Bloomberg report late last week saying that the European Union has told UK negotiators they must accept some of the bloc's key demands. And I know that won't go down with a lot of you guys who think we should walk away now already. Of course, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. The UK must accept some of the bloc's key demands over their future relationship in crunch meetings this week if they want to make progress before an October deadline, according to an official familiar with the discussions. Downing Street spokesman Jamie Davis signalled the UK had seen progress in some areas of the talks, but is quoted as saying, "We still want and are working towards a free trade agreement. We look forward to negotiations next week," that being this week, because this is from Friday. In a later statement, the government noted the differences on fisheries and the level playing field remain significant and that a lot of work is still to be done. If the gaps in these areas are to be bridged, the EU's more constructive attitude will need to be translated into more realistic policy positions in the days to come. Now, this is the interesting bit I really wanted to highlight. As the price, Bloomberg wrote, of moving on to the next phase, the EU wants the UK to commit to a clear, legally binding mechanism for resolving any disputes, particularly on the tricky issue of state aid, the official said. It wants the UK to pledge it will still be bound by the European Convention on Human Rights and provide clarity on its future data protection regime before getting into the specifics of how law enforcement and security officials will collaborate. I'll just read that bit again. This is the key part of what I wanted to highlight. It wants the UK, as in the EU, wants the UK to pledge it will still be bound by the European Convention on Human Rights. The EU also wants to ensure that the distribution of quotas don't jeopardise fishing communities and member states. If the conditions are met, the next phase of negotiations, commonly referred to as the tunnel, would see officials locked in detailed and mostly secret discussions for weeks as they work together on a common text. Now, the ECHR, and it's not been talked about that much, but I want to highlight it in this report. The ECHR is separate from the EU institutions, incorporated into UK law by the Human Rights Act. Now, this is what Martin Howe QC, Chairman of Lawyers for Britain, wrote in the Telegraph earlier this year. He said, Michel Barnier protested that the UK will not formally commit to staying in the European Convention on Human Rights, the ECHR. Brussels is demanding this commitment in the future relationship with the UK, but Boris Johnson's government is absolutely right to refuse to lock Britain into future membership. He goes on to say that the EU's attitude to the ECHR is similar to its attitude in a number of other areas. It seems unable to accept that the UK will continue to apply the highest standards in the field of human rights as elsewhere, but this does not mean the UK needs to comply with every dot and comma of the EU's own chosen rules. Brexit should mean that we recover the right to take back control of our human rights law. Earlier this month, and it's worth highlighting this story. I always try and give you all the information in these reports. Earlier this month, in the Telegraph, there was a story saying that Britain is preparing to opt out of major parts of European human rights laws, risking an explosive row with the EU. Boris Johnson's aides and ministers are drawing up proposals to severely curb the use of human rights laws in areas which judges have overreached. The plans under discussions include opt-outs from the Human Rights Act, which could prevent many migrants and asylum seekers from using the legislation to avoid deportation and protect British soldiers against claims relating to overseas operations. The Act allows British courts to apply the European Convention on Human Rights. Telegraph report saying that the move would set up a major confrontation with the EU, which has been demanding that the UK commits to remaining signed up to the ECHR and keep the Human Rights Act in place as the price of future law enforcement cooperation between the bloc and Britain. So that was a report from earlier this month. This report as I said, from Bloomberg on Friday, says that the EU wants the UK to pledge that it will still be bound by the ECHR. And if you want one example of why this is important, someone had a pop at me earlier on Twitter, and I dug this out. This is on the government's own website in 2014, and the title really speaks for itself, does it not? Foreign criminals successfully appealing against deportation using Article 8 of ECHR. That is the article that refers to the right to respect for private and family life. If you go and Google foreign criminals successfully appealing against deportation using Article 8 of ECHR.gov, it's up there, it's on the government website, example after example for all sorts of offences shown of ECHR, Article 8, foreign criminals successfully appealing against deportation. Is that something that we're really going to see after the end of the transition period? Is that something that we're going to continue to see and see the British government sign up to? Really? At this time when we've got Priti Patel in the government saying that in terms of the illegal migration problem, they're restricted by the EU's rules. Are they really going to sign up to these sort of ECHR restrictions? This is why I'm highlighting this risk, because the EU clearly want the UK to sign up to the ECHR. I know that some will throw their toys out the pram and say this, oh no, we need to stay signed up to this. Well, just look at what a Remainer said of the ECHR. Not just any Remainer, the former Prime Minister and then Home Secretary Theresa May, who of course advocated Remain in the 2016 referendum. But this is what she had to say about the ECHR. Because Theresa May actually said that the Britain should withdraw from the European Convention on Human Rights, regardless of the EU referendum result. And this is, again, crucially, this is when she was Home Secretary. She's quoted as saying that the ECHR, and this is in 2016 again, the ECHR can bind the hands of Parliament, adds nothing to our prosperity, makes us less secure by preventing the deportation of dangerous foreign nationals, and does nothing to change the attitudes of governments like Russia's when it comes to human rights. And Theresa May went on to say in 2016, so regardless of the EU referendum, my view is this: if we want to reform human rights laws in this country, it isn't the EU we should leave, but the ECHR and the jurisdiction of its court. So there you go. Then Home Secretary, former Prime Minister, saying that actually leaving the ECHR was actually more important even than leaving the European Union. Of course, since then I've heard precious little from Theresa May on this. What a surprise. But that shows you, before people start throwing their toys out the pram, she was then Home Secretary who advocated staying in the EU but leaving the ECHR. That gives you an idea of what a huge impact the ECHR has. And as I said, on the government's own website, foreign criminals successfully appealing against deportation using Article 8 of the ECHR. Now, to be fair, the government, again, the stories, the government are going to reject this and that they're not going to stay tied up to this. But the EU in these negotiations, along with all sorts of things, we know the level playing field and fisheries, trying to bundle it all in with a trade deal to maintain areas of EU policy control. That would be completely unacceptable. It would be a huge mistake for the UK to sign up to this nonsense. And I think it's worth highlighting because obviously a lot going on in the Brexit negotiations, time running short, transition period coming to an end. These are the sorts of things we need to be keeping an eye out in terms of what is agreed, if there is an agreement between the UK and the EU. And of course, you can always rely on the Westmonster channel to stay right on top of this and to keep you informed. And as ever guys, if you enjoyed this report, I'd really appreciate it if you would give this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, you can support my work over at Patreon. We'd really appreciate it if you would do that. As ever guys, thanks very much for watching.